My sister, who manages a luxury resort in Bali, called and asked, "Where's your husband?" I said, "On a work trip in London." She whispered, "He's here with another woman throwing cash from your card." Next day he panicked. His girlfriend robbed him blind and trashed his room. Karma served tropical style. "Where's your husband?" My sister Carmen's voice cut through the line with such urgency that I froze, the pancake batter dripping from my spatula onto the kitchen floor. The international call from Bali had come at 7:13 a.m. on a Tuesday, the worst possible time in my chaotic morning routine with 3 boys under 7. In London. Business trip. Why? I balanced the phone between my ear and shoulder while wiping up the mess with my free hand. The silence that followed lasted only seconds but felt eternal. When Carmen finally spoke, her voice dropped to a whisper. "He's here, Heather. At my resort. With another woman. They're throwing cash around like confetti, from your card." The spatula clattered to the floor as my world imploded. "Mommy. Albert won't put his shoes on again." Bruce called from the living room, his serious 6-year-old voice trying to sound grown up as he dealt with his youngest brother. "Just a minute, honey." I called back, amazed my voice sounded almost normal while my insides turned to ice. "Carmen, are you absolutely sure? I'm watching them from my office right now. They're at the infinity pool. He's ordering $300 champagne at 10 p.m. local time while this blonde feeds him strawberries. I recognized him immediately from your Christmas photos." I stepped into the pantry, quietly pulling the door nearly closed. Through the crack, I could see Alan at the kitchen table, his SpongeBob cereal now mostly on the floor as he concentrated on coloring instead of eating. Bruce was kneeling to help Albert with his shoes, the 2 dark-haired boys huddled together on the rug. My children. My beautiful boys who needed stability. School supplies. Speech therapy for Albert. Special reading tutoring for Bruce that insurance wouldn't cover. All while their father was apparently living it up in Bali with another woman. "Send me a picture," I whispered, then added, "Please tell me you're mistaken." Checking into the Emperor Suite under Mr. and Mrs. Tyler Bennett. "Using your joint platinum Amex. I'll send photos now." My phone pinged seconds later. I stared at the image. Tyler lounging shirtless by a pool, his arm draped around a woman with long blonde hair who definitely wasn't me. His wedding ring nowhere to be seen. The second photo showed him clearly signing a spa receipt with a flourish, the woman kissing his neck as he grinned. "He told me he was finalizing that distribution deal in London," I said, my voice hollow. "Said he'd be unreachable most of the time because of meetings. The only meetings he's having are with the spa masseuse and this woman. They've booked couples treatments every day." I leaned against the pantry shelves, knocking over a box of Bruce's favorite dinosaur-shaped mac and cheese. The little cardboard rectangles scattered across the floor, much like my marriage was scattering before my eyes. "Mommy? Are you hiding?" Alan's curious face appeared at the pantry door, milk dribbling down his chin. His hazel eyes, just like Tyler's, widened when he saw my face. "Are you sad?" I wiped my cheeks quickly. "No, honey. Just a little work problem. Go finish your breakfast, okay? We need to leave for school soon." As Alan trudged back to the table, I pulled up our joint banking app. There they were, charges from the Midnight Orchid Resort and Spa in Bali. $4,700 in the last 3 days alone. The same days I'd been measuring out the last of the laundry detergent to make it stretch until payday, calculating if I could postpone buying new shoes for Alan whose toes were pressing against the front of his sneakers. "The woman?" I asked Carmen, stepping deeper into the pantry. "Who is she?" "Resort staff say she's been here before. Goes by Caroline. Some of the employees think she targets wealthy guests. But Tyler's throwing money around like he's some big shot. Money we didn't even have." My small graphic design business was supporting our family while Tyler's consulting work had mysteriously stopped bringing in regular income 6 months ago. "Temporary market downturn," he'd explained. "Just need to weather it." The memories flooded back in waves. Tyler missing Bruce's school play for a client dinner. The unexplained hotel charge in Denver when he was supposedly in Phoenix. The late-night texts he'd shield from my view. The sudden password changes on his personal email. The growing distance when I tried to discuss our finances. My mind raced through 6 years of marriage, reclassifying what I dismissed as minor quirks into what they truly were, warning signs. "Mommy." We're gonna be late. Bruce called, his backpack already on, responsible beyond his years. Carmen, I said, my businesswoman brain taking over where my wife heart was failing, I need to get the boys to school. Then we'll talk strategy. Strategy? Carmen sounded surprised. Yes. I need to know exactly how long they've been there, what they've spent, and everything they've said to staff. My voice turned to steel as shock crystallized into resolve. I have principles, Carmen. I believe in forgiveness, but betrayal is where I draw the line. After hanging up, I mechanically packed lunches, checked backpacks, and loaded my sons into our aging SUV. My mind was splitting in two. One half planning the logistics of an emergency trip to Bali, the other replaying every lie Tyler had told me. London is so boring right now, honey. Nothing but rain and meetings. His voice from yesterday's call echoed in my head as I navigated morning traffic. After dropping the boys at school, I called my neighbor Melissa, whose kindness had been my sanity anchor through years of Tyler's business trips. Emergency situation. I need to fly out immediately. Could you possibly? Say no more, Melissa interrupted. The boys can stay with me. For as long as you need. I sat in the school parking lot, making rapid-fire arrangements, booking the earliest flight to Bali, transferring funds to a separate account, calling clients to postpone projects. When I picked the boys up that afternoon, I knelt down to their level in our living room. Mommy needs to take a special business trip, I explained, my voice wavering slightly despite my best efforts. Like Daddy's trips? Alan asked innocently. I swallowed hard. No, sweetheart. Not like Daddy's trips at all. When will you be back? Bruce asked, his serious eyes searching mine. Very soon. Aunt Melissa will stay with you and we'll video chat every day. Albert, my baby at 4 years old, wrapped his arms around my neck. Bring present, he asked hopefully. I hugged him fiercely, breathing in his little boy scent of peanut butter and strawberry shampoo. Yes, I'll bring you presents. But more importantly, I'm going to fix something that's broken. As I packed a small suitcase that night, my phone buzzed with another message from Carmen. A copy of the room service bill showing 2 filet mignons, a $400 bottle of champagne and chocolate-covered strawberries. For my London business meals, honey, Tyler had told me when I questioned similar charges months ago. You know how clients expect to be wined and dined. I closed my suitcase with a decisive snap, just as another text from Carmen came through. He doesn't know I manage this place. Perfect time for Karma to teach him a tropical lesson. How soon can you get here? Morning came too quickly after a sleepless night. My suitcase stood by the door, a silent sentinel marking the boundary between my old life and whatever lay ahead. The Uber would arrive in 20 minutes to take me to the airport. I checked my passport for the 3rd time, my fingers trembling slightly as I tucked it back into my purse. Boys. Breakfast time. I called, trying to infuse my voice with a normalcy I didn't feel. 3 pairs of feet thundered down the stairs. Bruce led the pack, already dressed in his school uniform, his shoelaces neatly tied. Alan followed, shirt buttoned incorrectly and hair uncombed. Albert trailed behind, clutching his favorite stuffed dinosaur, his eyes still puffy with sleep. Pancakes for our special morning, I announced, setting plates on the table. Aunt Melissa will be here soon, and she has all the instructions for your routines. Bruce climbed onto his chair, watching me with eyes too perceptive for a 6-year-old. How long will you be gone, Mom? Just a few days, honey. I'll be back before you know it. Is Dad coming home while you're gone? Alan asked, drowning his pancakes in syrup. The question pierced me like a physical pain. No, sweetie. Dad's still on his business trip, remember? He's always on trips, Bruce muttered, cutting his pancake with surgical precision. The doorbell rang, Melissa arriving with her warm smile and endless patience. While she chatted with the boys about their plans for a movie night, I slipped upstairs to each of their bedrooms, leaving handwritten notes under their pillows. Simple messages they could understand, even Albert, who was just learning to recognize words. Mommy loves you. Be good for Aunt Melissa. See you very soon. The goodbye was harder than I'd imagined. Albert clung to my leg, his little face crumpling. No go, Mommy, he whimpered, tears spilling down his cheeks. I knelt down, gathering him into my arms. Just for a few sleeps, baby. Then Mommy will be right back. Alan gave me a sticky syrup kiss and immediately became distracted by Melissa's promise of a playground visit. Bruce stood straight backed by the door, his expression solemn. "I'll take care of them, Mom," he said quietly as I hugged him goodbye. "I'll be the man of the house." His words shattered something deep inside me. At 6 years old, my son was already trying to fill the void his father had left. Tyler's physical and emotional absences had trained our firstborn to assume responsibilities no child should bear. "Just be Bruce," I whispered, kissing his forehead. "That's all I want you to be." In the Uber, I finally allowed the tears to flow. By the time I reached the airport, I had compartmentalized my emotions, a skill honed through years of juggling motherhood, business ownership, and an increasingly distant marriage. The international terminal buzzed with activity as I checked in for my flight, Chicago to Los Angeles, then the long haul to Denpasar, Bali. 20 hours in transit with nothing but my thoughts and the occasional update from Carmen. As I settled into my window seat for the first leg, my phone pinged with a new message from her. "They're booking a sunset cruise for tomorrow. $900 for the romantic package. Using your joint Amex again." I closed my eyes, leaning my head against the cool window as the plane taxied toward the runway. The flight attendant's safety demonstration faded into background noise as memories flooded my consciousness. Tyler holding my hand through 19 hours of labor with Bruce, his face pale but determined as he coached me through each contraction. "You're the strongest woman I know," he had whispered as they placed our firstborn in my arms. The pride in his eyes when Alan arrived 18 months later, a quick and easy birth that had us joking about possibly having a dozen more. "Our perfect little family is growing," he had said, cradling Alan while Bruce peered curiously at his new brother. Albert's difficult birth, the emergency C-section, the terrifying hours of uncertainty. Tyler had been there through it all, sleeping in the uncomfortable hospital chair, bringing me ice chips and gentle encouragement. When had it changed? The shift had been so gradual I'd barely noticed it happening. Tyler's networking events growing more frequent. His excitement about family time diminishing as his ambitions seemingly grew. The subtle distance that appeared when I'd mention household expenses or the children's needs. The Los Angeles connection passed in a blur. Seated on the Trans-Pacific flight, I scrolled through Carmen's updates, each one driving the knife deeper. A photo of Tyler and Caroline at the resort's exclusive adults-only pool cabana. "She ordered a $200 massage for him poolside," Carmen wrote. Another image, the couple entering the resort's high-end jewelry boutique. "He bought her sapphire earrings. $1,750. My mind flashed to last month when Bruce needed new glasses. "Can it wait until next quarter?" Tyler had asked. "Cash is a bit tight right now." The same week, apparently, he'd purchased a new set of golf clubs I'd discovered on our credit card statement. "Client relationship building," he'd explained. Hour 13 of my journey, somewhere over the Pacific, another message arrived that broke me. A photo of Tyler and Caroline splashing in the resort's family lagoon pool, the one with the small water slide and shallow waiting area specifically designed for children. "They're playing like kids," Carmen wrote. "He's giving her piggyback rides in the water." 3 summers of Tyler claiming he was too swamped with work for our family beach vacation plans crashed through my mind. 3 summers of me taking the boys to the public pool alone, explaining that Daddy has to work hard to take care of us. The flight attendant touched my shoulder gently. "Are you all right, ma'am? Can I get you some water?" I hadn't realized I was crying until she offered me a tissue. As we began our descent into Bali, I pulled out my wallet and removed a small photo I kept inside. The boys building a sandcastle last summer at Lake Michigan, Bruce methodically packing sand into a bucket, Alan decorating with shells, Albert gleefully stomping through the moat. I had taken the picture myself. Tyler had been absent as usual. This photo would be my touchstone. What I was fighting for wasn't my marriage anymore. It was the stability and integrity of my children's world. They deserved a mother who stood up for herself, who showed them that love shouldn't mean tolerating betrayal. The business part of my brain had been working throughout the long flight. I had drafted emails to my attorney, documented every charge Tyler had made at the resort, and created a preliminary financial separation plan. The mother in me had wrestled with harder questions. How would I explain this to the boys? How could I protect their relationship with their father while being honest about why our family was changing? The plane touched down with a gentle bump. Outside the window, Palm trees swayed against a perfect blue sky, paradise to most travelers. For me, it was the battleground where I would confront the ruins of my marriage. As passengers around me eagerly gathered their belongings, I remained seated, clutching the family photo. The humid air hit me like a wall when I finally stepped off the plane and walked across the tarmac toward the terminal. The sweet scent of frangipani mixed with jet fuel couldn't mask the bitterness in my heart. Carmen would be waiting beyond customs. Then we would begin what I'd started thinking of as Operation Truth and Consequences. Tyler had no idea I was coming. No idea his paradise was about to become something else entirely. Carmen was waiting exactly where she promised, just beyond the customs area, holding a discreet sign with graphic design consultant instead of my name. Her professional resort manager facade cracked the moment our eyes met, and she rushed forward to enfold me in a fierce hug. "You look exhausted," she whispered, pulling back to study my face. Her fingers gently traced the lines around my eyes that hadn't been there during her Christmas visit 6 months ago. 20 hours on a plane will do that. I attempted a smile that felt foreign on my face. "It's not just the flight." Carmen took my carry-on bag. "It's everything else you've been carrying." We slipped out through the staff exit where a resort vehicle waited. As we drove along Bali's winding coastal roads, Carmen briefed me on what she'd learned. Caroline Westbrook. That's the name she's using this time. Security recognized her from last season when she left with a tech executive's Rolex and credit card information. "And no one stopped her?" I asked, watching palm trees blur past the window. "Resort policy. We document, we report to authorities, but we don't confront unless there's immediate danger. These people are professionals, Heather. They know exactly what they're doing." The Midnight Orchid Resort materialized like a dream through the tropical foliage, a sprawling complex of luxury villas and pavilions cascading down a lush hillside to a private beach. Under different circumstances, it would have taken my breath away. Carmen bypassed the grand entrance, driving instead to a discreet service area. "I've arranged a villa in the staff section. It's smaller but completely private. Tyler never comes to this part of the resort." The modest villa was cool and welcoming after the journey. While I showered away 20 hours of travel, Carmen ordered a light meal and prepared what she called my war room briefing. "Are you sure you want to see everything?" she asked as I emerged in fresh clothes, my hair still damp. "Some of it is difficult. I need to know what I'm dealing with," I answered, accepting the cup of ginger tea she offered. "No more illusions." Carmen's tablet displayed a resort map with a blinking dot. "They're at the bamboo bar right now. I've given select staff instructions to document their activities discreetly." She swiped to a collection of photos. Tyler and Caroline dining at the resort's signature restaurant, lounging by various pools, entering spa facilities. In each image, Tyler looked relaxed and happy in a way I hadn't seen in years. The woman, Caroline, was striking with the practiced elegance of someone accustomed to luxury environments. "She's been running the same playbook with Tyler as with her previous targets," Carmen explained, pulling up a document. "Security maintains profiles on known, problematic guests." The profile outlined Caroline's methodology with clinical precision. Identify wealthy or seemingly wealthy male guests. Create chance encounters. Drop references to exclusive experiences they must try. Encourage lavish spending as proof of status and success. "She's convinced him to buy several items supposedly for you." Carmen's expression darkened as she showed me receipts. "A sapphire pendant. Handcrafted silk robes. All allegedly for shipping home. Let me guess, they never made it to the shipping department." "Exactly. She intercepts the packages, returns the items for cash when possible, or resells them through contacts." My stomach tightened. And Tyler falls for this? Men like Tyler, desperate to feel important, to impress, they're her specialty. Carmen's voice held no judgment, just professional assessment. "Follow me. There's more you need to see." She led me through a back corridor to the resort's security hub, a room filled with monitors displaying feeds from across the property. The chief of security, a former military man named Raj, nodded respectfully as we entered. "Mrs. Bennett. We're prepared as Miss Carmen requested." A dedicated monitor showed a luxury suite, the Emperor Villa, where Tyler and Caroline were now returning from their evening out. My husband loosened his tie, laughing at something she said as they entered the expansive living area. Audio? Carmen asked. Raj adjusted a dial and suddenly Tyler's voice filled the room. Should see the look on their faces in meetings when I close a deal. That's why they pay me the big bucks, babe. I nearly gasped aloud. Tyler hadn't closed a major deal in over a year. Our savings had been quietly dwindling while he maintained the fiction of success. Caroline pressed against him, her voice a practiced purr. You should celebrate properly then. I was thinking that private yacht charter tomorrow. Anything for you, Tyler replied, his hands roaming possessively over her body in a way that should have hurt me to watch. Instead, I felt oddly detached, like I was observing strangers in a film. We can document financial transactions if needed for your legal proceedings, Raj offered quietly. All authorized expenses are logged in our system. I nodded gratefully, unable to speak as I watched Tyler, the father of my children, the man who had promised to build a life with me, input his PIN at the in-room safe to withdraw more cash. That money, I finally said, was supposed to pay for Bruce's educational assessment next month. And Albert's speech therapy. Carmen squeezed my shoulder silently. The evening progressed with Tyler and Caroline ordering champagne service, then moving to the bedroom area where I insisted the monitors be muted. Some things I didn't need to witness. When they finally fell asleep, Caroline waited precisely 43 minutes by the security timestamp before carefully extracting herself from Tyler's embrace. With practiced efficiency, she moved around the darkened suite, checking his wallet, phone, and laptop. She photographed his credit cards from both sides before replacing them. From her own bag, she produced a small bottle, adding drops to the remaining champagne in Tyler's glass. Mild sedative, Raj explained. Enough to ensure deeper sleep but not dangerous. For the next hour, we watched her systematic execution of what was clearly a well-rehearsed plan. She made calls in whispered Mandarin from the bathroom, packed her designer luggage, transferred items from Tyler's suitcase to hers, including his expensive watch and cufflinks. Most surprisingly, she removed a family photograph from the bottom of Tyler's suitcase, one I recognized from our living room. Without hesitation, she tore it in half, scattering the pieces on the floor with deliberate carelessness. Creating evidence of a lover's quarrel, Carmen explained. Standard misdirection. By 3 a.m., Caroline had ransacked the room with strategic precision, enough disorder to suggest a heated argument and hasty departure, but nothing so extreme as to immediately suggest theft. She used Tyler's own credit card to order a resort car, signed his name to the bill with a flourish, and vanished into the Balinese night with over $8,000 in cash and valuables. Throughout it all, Tyler slept on, oblivious to both the betrayal and the silent witnesses to his humiliation. Karma, Carmen said softly as we returned to my villa just before dawn, doesn't always need our help to find its target. I sat on the small porch, watching the first hints of sunrise touch the horizon. The weight that had crushed my chest since Carmen's first call had shifted somehow. Not lightened, perhaps even heavier, but differently shaped. What happens now? Carmen asked, joining me with fresh coffee. Now, I replied, taking the steaming cup, we wait for him to wake up and discover his paradise has turned to ashes. The call came at precisely 10:17 a.m. I had been dozing on the villa's small porch, jet lag finally claiming victory after the emotional surveillance marathon. Carmen had gone to handle her regular management duties, promising to return with lunch and updates. My phone's vibration jolted me awake. Tyler's name and photo filled the screen. The happy family portrait from last Christmas where he stood behind me with his arms around my waist. The boys arranged perfectly in front of us. The portrait of domestic bliss we'd never quite been. I let it ring 3 times while steadying my breathing, then answered with practiced normalcy. Hey, how's London? A beat of silence, then Tyler's voice came through, tight with stress. Heather, thank God. I've been robbed. I remained silent, allowing the moment to stretch uncomfortably. Did you hear me? All my cash, my watch, the laptop, everything's gone. In the background, a melodic announcement played over a PA system. Attention valued guests, our sunrise yoga session will begin in 15 minutes at the Lotus Pavilion. The exact same announcement I could hear faintly drifting through the window from the main resort grounds. That sounds terrible, I finally said, keeping my voice even. What happened? I met with some potential investors last night. Had a couple of drinks. Woke up this morning to find my hotel room trashed and everything valuable gone. The lies flowed so effortlessly from him that I momentarily questioned whether I'd imagined the security footage from last night. Had 6 years of marriage conditioned me to doubt my own reality in favor of his? Including your wedding ring? I asked quietly. What? No, he fumbled. I took it off before showering. It's still here. Another lie. He hadn't worn his wedding ring in Bali at all, according to Carmen's photos. The important thing, he continued, his voice shifting into the cajoling tone I recognized from countless previous financial emergencies, is that I need to handle this quickly. The hotel is demanding payment for damages and I need to book a new flight home. How much? I asked, a strange calm settling over me. 5,000 should cover everything. I know it's a lot, but this deal I'm working on will more than make up for it next month. Just like the last deal. And the one before that. The fictional windfalls that never quite materialized. I'll see what I can do, I said noncommittally. How soon do you need it? Immediately, Heather. They're threatening to call the police. My phone pinged with an incoming message from Carmen. He's at the front desk right now trying to talk his way out of the charges. Management is insisting on payment for damages and missing items. Let me check our accounts, I told Tyler. I'll call you back soon. After hanging up, I moved into action mode. First, a call to Melissa to check on the boys. They're doing great, she assured me. Bruce finished his reading assignment without prompting, and I'm taking Alan to his allergy appointment at 3. And Albert's nap? He gets cranky if he misses it. Down for the count as we speak, with Mr. Dino tucked in beside him. Melissa paused. Are you okay, Heather? You sound different. I'm finally seeing things clearly, I replied. Thank you for being there for my boys. Next, I called Mark Levinson, my business attorney who had helped me establish my graphic design company years ago. His secretary put me through immediately. This is unexpected, he said by way of greeting. Trouble in paradise? If he only knew. I need to secure my assets. Today. Right now. I outlined the situation in business-like terms. Fraudulent credit card charges, suspected financial infidelity, evidence of sustained deception. Heather, Mark's voice grew serious, I've wondered when this call might come. The cash flow questions you've had over the past year, they worried me. Had everyone seen what I'd been blind to? Can you protect the boys' accounts? Their college funds? The health insurance? My voice caught slightly, maternal instinct overriding everything else. I'll file emergency documentation this morning. We established your business as a separate entity, which was smart. He can't touch your professional accounts. Mark paused. Heather, the joint accounts. Freeze everything except the household account. Leave enough for groceries for the boys. Nothing else. While Mark worked his legal magic remotely, I opened my laptop to handle another crucial task, canceling our joint credit cards. I created a new card in my name only, expedited to Melissa's address. The customer service representative was sympathetically efficient once I mentioned potential fraud. My phone buzzed again. Tyler. Heather. Did you wire the money? They're getting impatient here. Actually, I said, grateful for the 10,000 miles between us that allowed me to maintain my composure, I'm having trouble accessing our accounts. There seems to be some kind of fraud alert. His sharp intake of breath was audible. What do you mean? Multiple charges from Bali flagged as suspicious. Strange, right? Since you're in London. Silence stretched between us, thousands of miles of it, filled with the weight of unspoken truths. Heather, I can explain. I'll tell you what, I cut in smoothly. I'm meeting with a client this evening, but after that, why don't we video chat with the boys? They miss you. The change of subject disoriented him. Yes. Sure. But about the money. I'll keep working on it. Talk later. I hung up before he could respond, then immediately texted Carmen. He's desperate. Keep me posted on his movements. Carmen's response came quickly. Resort has given him until 6 p.m. to settle his bill or they're involving authorities. He's making calls from the business center. With a few hours to breathe, I scheduled a video call with the boys for after their dinner. By then, Tyler would be approaching his deadline with the resort, maximizing his distress while I connected with our children. When the call connected that evening, 3 eager faces crowded the screen, their overlapping voices creating a symphony I hadn't realized how desperately I needed to hear. Mommy. We made cookies. I saw a really big bug. Miss you, Mommy. I drank in their faces. Albert with chocolate smeared across his cheek, Alan bouncing with barely contained energy, Bruce more reserved but eyes bright with excitement. I miss you all so much, I said truthfully. Are you being good for Aunt Melissa? Bruce is being a bossy pants, Alan reported solemnly. I am not. I'm helping. Bruce protested. You're both doing great, I assured them. Bruce, how was reading practice today? While Bruce detailed his progress with sounding out difficult words, I noticed him reaching for something off-screen. I made this for you, Mom, he said, holding up a crayon drawing to the camera. It showed 4 stick figures, clearly labeled Mom, Bruce, Alan, and Albert, standing before a house with a bright yellow sun overhead. No 5th figure. No father. It's our family, Bruce explained unnecessarily. Where's Daddy? I asked gently, though I already knew the answer. Bruce shrugged, his small face serious. He's not here. He's always working. I bit my lip hard to keep tears at bay. It's beautiful, honey. I'll put it on the refrigerator when I get home. After saying goodnight to each boy individually with promises of return and small gifts, I ended the call and finally allowed myself to cry, not for the marriage I was losing, but for the father my children had never fully had. Carmen found me an hour later, composed and focused on my laptop where I was reviewing documents sent by Mark. Tyler paid his bill, she reported. Used his personal credit card. Nearly maxed it out. Of course he did, I murmured, closing my laptop. Is everything arranged for tomorrow? Yes. Beachfront table at the Coral Garden. 7 o'clock. Our best local attorney reviewed your papers. Everything's in order with proper jurisdictional considerations. I nodded, standing to walk to the small closet where I'd hung the one formal outfit I'd packed. A simple black dress that accentuated my strength rather than attempting to display femininity. Power, not seduction, would be my armor tomorrow. Are you sure about this? Carmen asked, watching me hold the dress against myself. Confronting him alone? I'm not confronting him, I corrected her, my voice steady. I'm claiming my freedom. And my children's future. Carmen stepped forward, wrapping me in a tight hug. You know, you've basically been a single mother already. The only difference now is you won't have to carry his dead weight too. I nodded against her shoulder, drawing strength from her certainty. Tomorrow would be the last supper of my marriage. A meal purchased with my husband's nearly maxed-out credit card, served with a side of legal documentation, and garnished with the truth he never expected me to discover. The Coral Garden restaurant sat like a jewel on the resort's private beach, tables arranged on multiple tiers descending toward the shoreline. Torches illuminated the sand where children chased waves in the last light of day while their parents dined under the stars. I arrived 30 minutes early, deliberately selecting a table with clear sight lines to both entrances. The hostess, briefed by Carmen, led me to a secluded corner with ocean views, private enough for the conversation to come, yet public enough to ensure civility. Would you like something while you wait? She asked, leaving me with a leather-bound menu. Just water, thank you. As twilight deepened, I watched a father build a sandcastle with his young daughter near the water's edge. They worked with focused determination, the man patiently showing her how to pack wet sand into turrets. The scene transported me back to Alan's 5th birthday, the party I'd planned for months at the local park with a pirate treasure hunt and homemade cake. Tyler had called 2 hours before it started. Emergency client situation, he'd explained breathlessly. The Miller account is falling apart. I have to go in. I'd managed the party alone, explaining to confused guests why Alan's daddy couldn't make it, then stayed up until midnight cleaning while Tyler texted that the emergency was running long. Now I wondered which woman had been the true emergency that day, Caroline or another like her in a different city. The divorce papers rested in my handbag alongside printouts of the security photos and 3 precious drawings I'd brought from home, packed carefully in my luggage. A physical reminder of what truly mattered. The family Tyler had abandoned long before this Bali fiasco. At exactly 7 o'clock, Tyler appeared at the restaurant entrance. Even from a distance I could see the strain in his posture. The rumpled clothes, the nervous glances, the hand repeatedly checking his empty pocket where his wallet should have been. The maitre d' directed him toward my table and I straightened my spine, engaging the power I'd found in this strange, terrible journey. Heather. Relief washed over his face as he approached. Thank God. This trip has been a complete disaster. He leaned down as if to kiss me. I turned my cheek slightly, offering the barest minimum of contact. He dropped awkwardly into the chair across from me, immediately launching into his prepared narrative. The London meetings were going great. The distribution deal was practically signed, when my hotel room was broken into. Everything gone. Passport, wallet, laptop with all the contract details. He ran his hand through uncombed hair. I've been dealing with the British police all day. I sipped my water, letting the lies pile up between us. Lies told with such conviction that for a fleeting moment, I could almost see the London hotel room he'd never visited, the police report he'd never filed. They're making me pay for damages to the room if you can believe it. He leaned forward, lowering his voice. Were you able to transfer the money? I need to get home. Home, I repeated softly. To the boys. A flicker of confusion crossed his features. Of course. And you. The addition felt like an afterthought. How are they? The boys. I asked, watching his expression carefully. They're good, I'm sure. With your mom, right? Melissa, actually. Our neighbor. The fact that he couldn't remember who was caring for his children spoke volumes. The server approached and Tyler ordered the most expensive steak on the menu along with a bottle of wine. I requested a simple pasta dish. Let him enjoy his last extravagance on our rapidly depleting credit. So the money? He pressed after the server departed. I reached for my handbag, removing a manila envelope. Tyler's eyes lit up with visible relief, until I extracted not a bank transfer confirmation but a glossy 8x10 photograph of him and Caroline entering the Emperor Suite. This isn't London, I said quietly, placing the photo on the table between us. His face drained of color. I can explain. This isn't a business trip. A second photo joined the first, Tyler and Caroline at the infinity pool. This isn't a robbery. A third photo, Caroline methodically packing Tyler's valuables into her suitcase while he slept. She set me up, he stammered, eyes darting around as if seeking escape routes. I met her at the bar. She must have drugged me. In our house, I said in the same gentle tone I used when explaining important lessons to our sons, we have rules about telling the truth. Do you remember what I always tell Bruce when he's afraid he'll get in trouble? Tyler stared at me, speechless. I tell him that in our family we forgive accidents. Albert spills his juice almost every morning and we clean it up together. Alan broke my favorite vase playing superhero and I hugged him while he cried about it. I folded my hands on the table. But lying is never allowed, Tyler. Never. Our food arrived in the silence that followed. Tyler didn't touch his steak. How much do you need? I finally asked, cutting my pasta into neat, manageable bites. Hope flashed across his face. 5,000 would cover everything. I swear I'll pay it back as soon as we get home and I can access my accounts. I nodded slowly, then reached into my bag again. This time I withdrew a legal-sized envelope and 3 folded papers. I won't give you money, I said, sliding the envelope toward him. But I'll give you these. His confusion turned to shock as he opened the envelope and found divorce papers, already completed with my signature on every marked line. And these, I continued, unfolding the children's artwork one by one, are what your choices have cost you. Bruce's family drawing without a father figure. Alan's world's best mom certificate covered in stickers and glitter. Albert's scribbled heart with Momi written in Carmen's handwriting at his dictation. You can sign now or with a lawyer when you return. Either way, it's happening. Heather, please, it was one mistake. We can work through this. His voice cracked with what sounded like genuine emotion, the first authentic thing I'd heard from him in months. It wasn't one mistake. It was hundreds of choices, Tyler. Every time you lied about where you were. Every time you spent money we needed for our children. Every birthday you missed. Every night I went to bed alone. I took a final bite of pasta, then placed my napkin beside my half-empty plate. I believe in forgiveness, but betrayal is where I draw the line. Tyler's shoulders slumped in defeat as he stared at the children's drawings. With shaking hands he reached for the pen I offered and signed each marked page. What about the boys? he whispered. You're their father. That doesn't change. But trust is earned, Tyler. Just like it's lost. I stood, gathering my belongings. Your flight home is booked for tomorrow morning. The confirmation is in the envelope with the divorce papers. Carmen arranged it. Your sister, he said hollowly. The resort manager. She saw everything. She saw enough. As I walked away, leaving him alone with his cold steak and the evidence of what he'd thrown away, I felt lighter than I had in years. Carmen was waiting for me at the villa, 2 glasses of wine ready on the small porch. It's done, I said, accepting a glass and sinking into a chair. To new beginnings, she toasted, clicking her glass against mine. We sat in companionable silence, watching the stars emerge over the Balinese shoreline. I've been thinking, Carmen finally said. I could use a break from resort life. Maybe come stay with you and the boys for a while. The offer brought unexpected tears to my eyes. They'd love that. Bruce has a science fair coming up. He's growing crystal formations. Alan starts swimming lessons next month. And Albert has his preschool graduation ceremony. Sounds perfect, Carmen smiled. And what about their mom? What does she need? I considered the question, realizing no one had asked me that in years. Time. Space to breathe. And maybe help finding a house with a backyard. Somewhere the boys can build real sandcastles instead of just drawing them. Our flight home departed 2 days later, Carmen having arranged a week's leave to accompany me. As the plane lifted off, I watched the paradise island shrink beneath us. The place where my marriage had ended but where something else had begun. Not just survival. Not just single motherhood. But a reclamation of the woman I'd always been underneath the weight of Tyler's lies. Strong enough to draw boundaries. Brave enough to enforce them. Wise enough to know that some mistakes can't be forgiven, no matter how much we might wish they could be. And perhaps most importantly, understanding that the family my children needed had been there all along. It just hadn't included their father. If Heather's journey from betrayal to empowerment touched your heart, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss these stories of strength and new beginnings. It's completely free, and your support helps us share more powerful moments like this final dinner where truth was served. Thank you for being part of our community.